So did you steam that baby before you put it on?
It's fresh.
Dad was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, you have to read, like it's got stickers on it and everything. You know, it's got.
What's going on, guys? Welcome
What's
back to
up?
Honestly Moto. Got Mr. Nick Click coming live from the motorhome over there. We got my little brother Derek. What's going on, guys?
What's up?
What is happening?
Hey, Chad, what's your name on this show? Are you Cadillac Chad? Or are you Chadillac? What's your nickname? Are you
That's
just
good.
Chad?
I mean, that's a good question, man.
Chatty Daddy.
I don't like that one. I got a lot of nicknames, but
Jackson,
I don't-
one.
Yeah, I don't think it's up to you what you get your nickname.
We could call you Charles. Like, I think Charles is kind of like podcast official.
It is.
Charles. Okay. It's legal official.
Also, yeah, legally binding if need be.
So if that's what you need to do, we can do that.
Charles here with Honestly Moto, coming live at you from Macon.
Yeah, dude, hey, hold on. I've been thinking about that too. A lot of people like I don't know, when they have regional shows, I would define us as regional for now. No one outside of our parents' house know who we are. So a lot of people say like live from here. What is our, do we have a live from area? Are we claiming an area? Do we have turf?
More like a house.
I'm from the Midwest right now for about 2 more weeks, and then I'll be in the southern.
Yeah.
So
what's up, guys?
Midwest right now? Throwing gang signs on YouTube. Oh boy.
I know. I told you, dude.
Anyways.
In the first 5 minutes, you gotta not do gang stuff.
Yeah, and I just
After
go full
that,
gang.
yeah, all gang. But
So Nick, YouTube has this thing like whatever your first 5 seconds of video, or if you say
5
shit,
minutes,
fuck,
5 minutes.
yeah, if you say any of those words, like the algorithm kicks you out. So we were trying to get through 5 minutes without saying any of those kind of things, and I screwed it up. So.
Dang.
And that's kind of the purpose of having a 5-minute intro video is to not have to worry about that in the future. But we'll get there when we get there.
Kind of the purpose of me too. Like that's what I do is I mess up. This episode we're gonna talk about some amateur stuff. And I think Nick has got a guest for us later that's involved in the amateur side of things, and I think it'll be a good operation.
So the first 5 minutes, we usually go over our group sponsors, and that's where we're at. Sickwix has sponsored this show. We're very happy to have them on board with us. Also, Twisted Tea. You should drink heavily, but responsible, guys, okay? That's all I got.
Is that a free plug?
Yeah, that was free.
Okay.
We're going to see how it goes and see if they reach out to us.
I'm repping Sickwix right here, too.
And Kawasaki.
And 2 ferns. 1 fern. It's not even a fern. So, Nick, do you want to give us a little bit of what's going on in the amateur world? Me and Derek have been kind of out of it. I know he watched some of Minio's. They had pretty good live coverage. It was better than some of the pro stuff, the coverage, honestly.
I have Hayden Deegan videos forced down my throat via the YouTube algorithms. So I unfortunately have to see every one of those, whether I want to or not. Other than that, I'm pretty out of the loop.
I don't know if you can call him Hayden Deegan. I think it's actually Deegan's son, as James.
Yeah.
I'm a big Stewart fan, but I was not a fan of the podcast. I don't know if I can say that here or not, but so out of the moto loop. Yeah, he was referring to riders as that one factory Yamaha guy. He doesn't know any of them. He was like, didn't know what team they were on as long they were a factory Yamaha rider. He was talking about Matt LeBlanc and Gavin Towers and like some of the big heavy hitters, and he couldn't even name them. And he was like talking about how much he watches all the amateur races on sitting on his couch, like watching it. And I have a hard time believing that.
Right.
I guess that means he watches them like I watch them, and that's while I'm at work, while I'm driving, trying to watch stuff when I shouldn't be. So
I'm going to go completely off on a tangent here with this, but I just wanted to mention this. This was a question that I had for you guys last episode, and I didn't get to ask it. Out of all the riders or anybody in the industry, really, if there's one person like you get starstruck from still, like say you're walking past them in the pits or whatever, is there anybody that still kind of gives you that starstruck feeling?
Derek.
The older I get, the more I realize that everyone's pretty much equally. It's pretty hard for me. No, I just did. We're gonna have the intro video. We should be past 5. I am. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of past that stage. I don't know if that exists for me, honestly. There's a point where someone is like, I respect their stardom enough to be like, you know, you could go up to someone and say, hey, what's up, man? There's certain people that are so big that it's like, I'm not even going to talk to them. Like, so I guess you can consider that like starstruck, but it's like, yeah, I'm not even going to interrupt their day because I know they get enough of that.
I would say, I mean, I see a lot of people at these races nowadays. Like, the first person that pops to mind is Kevin Windham, but he's so cool that like you can talk to that guy like you've been best friends forever and he has no clue who you are and he just talks about anything. So I don't think it's him, but I would say like somebody I'd be like, oh my God, there's Jeremy McGrath. Like that would maybe be somebody. I think he's still cool as shit. I don't know. Like sometimes I just think I'm Nick Click and it don't matter, you know?
Right.
Who would you say, Dad?
That's kind of what I was getting to, though, is it like the older you get and the more you've been around this industry, like it kind of stops being like that. You know, it just seemed everybody's doing their thing. And I agree with Derek. Like that was always my thing. Like if there's somebody you look up to over the years, like you ran into them in the pits or whatever, you don't fangirl or anything, you know, you just kind of, but there's one person that still makes me feel starstruck and it's James Stewart. He's the only person that, like if we were in staging or whatever and he walked by, that everybody just kind of stops and like, you know, but
I just wonder how much of that is intentional on his part. Like he's always been very good at having that persona of like, he's this guy that's different on his own thing. Like you don't know if you can go talk to him or not. You don't know how he's going to respond to you. I like wonder how much of that in his head is like, he wants to be that guy. Or not, or if that's like, you know, he wouldn't mind whoever coming up to him and would totally be cool. Probably never have that opportunity, but I wonder how much of that, he plans out.
Well, he's been away from the sport for what now, 5 years, and then just comes out with a podcast. Maybe it's probably longer. Yes, it is longer now. And then just drops a podcast on it. So that pretty much shows. And like he's been MIA on social media and stuff. Here's another question for you. If you were, say you were in his shoes, would you had a wife, say you had a wife, you're in his shoes and you have a wife, you guys have wives, so you can imagine that. Would you include them in any of would you kind of keep them private, or would you include them in your stardom, I guess you could say, like he does?
I mean, I think that he's lit. Like people didn't even know he had a kid for the longest time. I think that's crazy how, I mean, he just now started posting pictures of like his kids. He's so, I think that he just wanted to be so far away from it that he didn't post anything or like show anything that was going on in his personal life. Like it was just motos for him. Like from the time he was born to, or when he started racing till he quit, it was all moto. And I think that's why it was that way. You never seen him post outside stuff, and now he he's starting to get outside friends. And like did you guys listen to his podcast?
Yeah, I did.
He talked about how he's friends with like Chad Reed now and Michael Ussey, like these people he almost hated. Like, so I think that's what separates. Am I echoing on you guys?
I heard just a little bit, but you're good. You're
It's fine.
Okay. Yeah, so I think that's why he hit it so much, because his life just revolved around dirt bikes, and like it shows. I mean, I could see like, and I mean, I'm the same way, I guess, but I can see like when he speaks, like he just had a pure talent at just dirt bikes, and it got him a long way.
Chad, how much would you involve your wife at your job?
I was gonna say, I'll answer that. Knowing what I know now, like over the years, I would be just like him.
Yeah,
I would be just like him.
And that's the thing. Like, I mean, business is business, right? And like, there's no reason why you need to involve your family or whatever in that. But at the same point, like, I feel like motocross, like it's a career, it's a job that it shouldn't feel like it's a job. You know what I mean? It shouldn't feel like a 9 to 5. It shouldn't feel like something you wouldn't want to involve your family in and stuff. I feel like,
but it is.
yeah, but like it shouldn't be that. You should enjoy it. And there's people out there that do that. You see like, Plessinger with his family all the time, and you see those people who involve them, and it doesn't seem like it's any more work or less work to involve them or not involve them. It's just natural. I'd hope that people feel that way in the business, but obviously he didn't, whatever that reason was.
To each their own, really. I mean,
Yeah.
That's just what it boils down to. No, but this episode, we kind of wanted to focus on some of the amateur stuff that's been going on. Obviously, we're getting close to Supercross, and there's plenty to talk about coming up with that. But
I got two different sides of it to it, kind of, as far as my riders go, and then where everybody stands coming through. There's a ton of fast riders right now, and there's guys that have no names that are coming up with names now and like beating guys like legit factory riders, because like we talked about last week a little bit, COVID made training take off, and dude, like every kid's at a facility now, like, or they're not even kids. Some of them aren't kids, but everybody's at facilities, and it helps a ton. So we'll start with like the area qualifiers and stuff coming in, and I'll talk a little bit about my riders. If you guys don't know, I run a training facility at Double Eagle MX, and I have 10 to 15 kids year round. Some people stuck with it all year. Some people did it before area qualifiers and then regionals, and then they kind of stopped training and just raced locally. But going into area qualifiers, we felt really prepared, and we thought we were going to go in swinging, and we didn't. So we had to restart everything when we came back from that. I mean, we made it into the regionals, but I'm like, this isn't going to work. We're not going to make it riding 8th place at an area qualifier. So we went back to step one, basically. I'm really big on technique training. I don't care how fast my riders go. I want to do everything right. And I think that's like, it's big nowadays because the tracks are so fast. I know we kind of went into this last week, but you can turn the throttle, but you still got to do everything right and eliminate the mistakes. So yeah, we started over fresh. We went to a corner track and just literally pounded technique and worked on everything. Kane Bolasina is one of them. He made it to Loretta's last year, and I was literally scared he wasn't going to make it this year. I was like, he barely made it through the area qual.
Last year?
This year, last year, he made it on a 65 pretty easy. This year at the area qualifier, he barely made it. And I'm like, we got to change some stuff. A lot of it was just critiquing small things, throttle control, little, stuff like that. By the time the regionals came around, I was like, oh, we might win this. He went and won a couple motos at the regional and made it in. I think he got a 5th and a 6th or something overall. there's a couple kids though, like his brother Vinny Bolasina never made it to Loretta's in his life, and we got him in this year. Who else made it? Carter Jones, he made it. He's from Kansas City. A couple people, but like I ended up having 7 kids get in, and I think the biggest thing for me is realizing what you got to do as a trainer and not a rider. It's a lot different. The mentality is completely different where you want to try to set these, yeah, I know what I did to make it. And that was just try to go fast.
And get the whole shot from the outside gate.
Yeah, that's literally all I just swerve and get it, make nobody pass me.
Right.
And that's coaching in any sport, right? Like the people who are good at it are the people who can get the best out of everyone, and that means in a different way. The people who usually fail are the people who try to make people do what they did to be successful and don't realize that different people need different things, to get to that point.
Yeah, I mean that's you said it really well there. It's tough to realize the difference in what the way you got to tell people to do stuff compared to the way you learned it. Like, I mean, I literally didn't learn from anybody besides like maybe Chad critique something I did at Supercross or like, but Chad critiqued me on watching other people, and that's a big thing is like being able to watch and pick up on that stuff. So that's where, and every rider is different. Every rider is different on what they're doing wrong, how you got to tell them to do it. And I mean, you got to talk to every kid different. That's the hardest part about being a trainer is like, you got to figure that stuff out. So I'm training myself the whole time,
Nick, you're kind of, I just want to throw this out there. You're kind of going through something that I went through with Lance. Like I was his mechanic and obviously I was living with him full time and I was with him every day at the practice track. I was doing everything, living with him off the track too, and it was hard for me. Like I'm his mechanic and I had to become a dad, that dad-like figure kind of, he was a young kid. And it's like, and it is extremely hard to know what each rider, what their potentials are, what you need, which direction you need, like who you need to be to them. Obviously, being a coach, you have to help them out. That's your main job is to let them know what they're doing wrong. But you also, you can't really be a dickhead about it, really.
Yeah, and I mean, some kids you have to, it's not being a dickhead, but it's just like you got to be strong-minded and like tell them how it is, or they take advantage of it. And that's like, I want to be the cool guy, the cool trainer too, but you also got to set those standards so they know that they can't take advantage of it, But anyways, like, as far as the areas and regionals went, I was happy with everything. And then, so Loretta's is coming up and we're training. Oh yeah.
That was a synchronized drink between Chad and I. Nick's wanting to get in.
Nick, just for people that may be listening to this that don't know, when does so you guys are training for the qualifiers? It pretty much starting. That's what you're getting ready to do, right?
Yeah. So I mean, you never quit really, but we took a little break through December, and January 3rd we start back, and that we'll start preparing for the area qualifiers. So areas range from March till the end of May, and then we go straight into regionals in June, and then Loretta's is in August. So you have a couple months in between each one to, figure out your stuff. Obviously, you don't want to quit training ever. You want to keep the momentum going.
It always blew my mind how fast the qualifiers came back around. Like Loretta's happened, and that's pretty much your year-end deal besides Minios. And it's like, wow, we're already starting over again.
Yeah, I agree. It literally, I mean, we just got done with the last one, and now we're trying to prepare already for 22. It's insane. They don't get a break. I mean, so it's good and bad though. If you just sat there and took a break, you wouldn't come back full blown. Go ahead.
So you guys are getting ready for the area qualifiers right now.
Yeah, and we're getting ready to move to Florida to Sunshine MX and start getting ready for those. But I kind of was going into Loretta's last year and telling you a little bit about the difference in training for areas, regionals, and then Loretta's. You know, the areas are 5-lap sprints, and then the regionals are 6-7 lap sprints, and then you go into Loretta's and they're 20-minute motos. So it's a completely different ball game. Trying to prepare for, mental. Loretta's the biggest thing is mental. I mean, every kid almost gets there and just is a disaster because it's so tough. Like, you can tell who comes out swinging and they're strong just by that one race. But the biggest thing is trying to get them in shape to go from those differences, like the 5 laps, 7 laps to 10 laps on a brutal track.
Right.
And I watched Loretta's this year completely from the sidelines. And
Why was that?
I learned that I felt like I didn't prepare my riders enough for that race. The track was absolutely brutal. You saw that.
Yeah.
It was
Best weather we've ever had there, I'm pretty sure, though.
best weather. But the track was just insane, dude. Like, they added all that sawdust this year, and they left a lot of it every day. Like, they kept leaving. They weren't re-prepping at all, and it got beat up. And 20 minutes on that was tough. I mean, from the start to the finish, like, you were just getting the shit beat out of you.
Yep.
So I learned that I have to do whatever it took to keep my track like that every day. We were doing whatever we could to just leave it rough and just water as much as we can, because any other way I can practice everything as much as I want, but going out on that track it was tough. And I know that. And that was the first thing I went back and said is I felt like I failed. I did fail there because I didn't have them 100% prepared.
Right.
How do
And
you
that's easy to go ahead.
Nick, how do you balance keeping a track, rough like that to prepare them for Loretta's and those kinds of tracks, but at the same time, like, you're not trying to hurt anyone, right? How do you balance that safety aspect while trying to keep it realistic and have them ride what they're going to be riding?
I'd say the biggest thing is, like, reminding them every day that we're here to, it's not about, like, I don't make my kids race each other all day when we're training. I try to separate everybody and work on, like, we'll do section work, and we'll do every section through a whole, like, I try to keep the track in between 1 minute and 1 minute 20 so that it can get super rough with 10 guys, like, I mean, how do you replicate a Loretta's track when you have 10 guys on the track? It's hard. So the biggest thing is, like, giving them the reminder to work on technique only. Don't try to go out there and hold it wide open and just blast everything. Like, if they're working on technique and they're on a rough track, they're going to get better.
Yeah.
And they're going to get to where they can start pushing, and they push at a more comfortable pace, and it's going to make them faster.
It's kind of the same way with bike setup. Like, people are always like worried about their suspension, and they're riding flat tracks around here, and it's going to be completely different when you get to Loretta's, dude. Like,
Yeah.
if you want to set up your suspension for Loretta's, then you need to do it on a track like Loretta's, not, at one of these local tracks. Dale Earnhardt could set the fastest lap there. Nick, okay, so we talked about Loretta's. I went down there with you and watched Kane and Vinny. And did you have any other riders down there? We can cut it. So after Loretta's, what happened after that?
So you get a little break and you go into Baja. Everybody knows that Baja is absolutely, I mean, it can make Loretta's look like a highway. It was absolutely brutal. And I raced there I like to race sometimes and just give the kids advice and there I really didn't have any advice because it was so brutal. It was like you just hung on for dear life the whole time. But the party was great, so that's good.
That's Baja, baby. You can count on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough at Baja because we ride hard packed a lot, and there's no hard packed. I mean, it's a sand track. I think that I'm excited to go to Florida and get some Florida riding this winter because I think it's going to help my kids a lot. Just be able
Exactly.
to stand. We go there, and it's like it's a totally different thing.
Yep.
And by the end, you're starting to get used to the track, and you're finally starting to feel the momentum, and then you go home, and I'll be back next year.
Yep. Yeah, it goes fast. By the time you feel like you're ready to go, you know it's over with, and you're loading your shit up, and you're out of here. And your parents are pissed off, and you gotta put gas in the motorhome and stuff. So you had Baja. What did you have? What happened there?
It just went okay. I had one rider, Brandon Lynch. He's from your guys' area, Columbia. He got 6th in both his classes, so that was our best finish there. Ace Enlow did pretty well too in the super mini class. So I think it's good. Like I said, they struggled at first and they're asking a lot of questions and their setup was off and all this. And the thing is though, is you got to ride your bike totally different there. Your setup might not be that far off, but you got to switch how you ride and adjust to that.
Gotta set your bike up for the track you're racing.
Yeah.
Not the track you practice on. Unless you have a good track like you guys have, and then it could be comparable.
I think Nick was kind of saying the opposite in that scenario, though. I think he has that mechanic tell the rider to shut up and ride. I'm tired of changing stuff attitude. It's like, I think he was saying like you got to ride different sometimes. Sometimes it's not just the bike. So you guys are gonna have a classic rider versus mechanic debate here. I'm all for it.
I'm gonna quote Shane Baxter on this one. When it comes to the rider and the mechanic and the bike, you know, you can switch out everything in the world and they're still not happy. You just gotta cradle the balls. Just gotta cradle the ball. Just keep them moving. But so after Baja, what comes after Baja, Nick?
We went to Ponca. So Ponca is probably one of my favorite nationals just because like it resembles our dirt. We get 6 ruts across the track at our place all the time. 6 because it's a training track. It's not 25 feet wide. It's, you know, we build it to train on. It's not a racetrack. Shoot.
See a nerd.
Where did I go? I'm sorry, guys. So Ponca is like, it's one of my favorite nationals, and it's one of my favorite ones to get the riders ready for because we can train for it all day. But we did really well there. I think almost everybody had top 10s, and the classes were stacked. I mean, all the nationals. I didn't mention this earlier, but every national's got 42 kids on a gate. I mean, at least, you know, they have like at Minios this year, I think there was 105 in some classes. So you got to think to get top 10s in these classes is really good. It's not like just a couple top amateurs are there. It's all of them.
Right. And I think people forget that sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, like Kane got a couple top 5s at Ponca and he had some good motos. And Vinny was the same way. Ryan Parks was the same way. Wiley. Like and Brandon Lynch again was there. I had 7 or 8 kids racing there, and everybody had their good moto. Definitely one of our strongest nationals. But
I heard some bad stuff about Kane's mechanic, Greg, I think his name is.
Yeah,
something about he's the kid's at Loretta's. People were talking about this. Everybody was telling me about this. He was at Loretta's and he got on the line and his gas or his bike's just dumping gas everywhere. And I guess his mechanic went back to the pits and tore everything down. He had he tore everything down, and I guess there was mulch in the carburetor or something like that. So, I
That
mean,
was that was Vinny's bike, but
oh, it's
yeah,
Vinny's.
yeah, Vinny's mechanic's not very good either. I'm thinking that they're looking for somebody though. If you know anybody hiring
There
or
we
looking,
go.
um,
Yeah, somebody that can clean a basic carburetor would be. I mean, that'd do numbers for Vinny's program.
yeah. Well, Vinny's actually got a fuel injected bike now, so he
Well,
should be good. But I don't know if that's going to help Greg any.
no, it's not. Yeah. Um,
Going into Minios, then we. Do you have any more questions about Punk? I guess I should say.
I don't, Derek. You got anything?
No, I'm good.
Yeah. So Minios was the same way. Like I was saying, there was a ton of riders. Um, Same thing, kind of going into Supercross. We trained for Supercross a bunch. Our Supercross track's a little more technical than Minios. It's kind of fast. I would say it's more of a fair race, but the kids enjoy it, and it's a little tighter racing than what they're used to. So, um, my biggest thing is everybody saying we don't race Supercross, we don't like Supercross, we don't like. You gotta get used to everything, guys. It's like it. I heard it so much there, even from 18-year-old kids to 25-year-old guys. Like, oh, I don't do the Supercross. It's too dangerous. It's too technical. It's too this. It's too that. You have to get good at every aspect of it. Like, what's the point of going out there and just doing motocross at an event like that? Like, if you're a kid, where do you make your money in dirt bikes?
Not on them.
Not on them is correct. But
Yeah.
if you're a good, solid racer, you get
Supercross.
money in Supercross.
Yes, that's the only series that anybody gives a shit about. Yes,
Yeah,
but
I just
it is different in Minios for sure. That like all the teams and stuff, like they don't really give a shit about the Supercross part of it, which I agree with you. I mean, racing's racing. It doesn't matter what you're on or what track you're riding. It's gauge drops, and if you're the best, you ought to be the best on any of it.
yeah. Yeah, that's where I'm at. I don't know if they talk crap all year about how they're gonna go dominate, like do good at minios or something, but I'm only gonna race motocross.
Yeah.
Gonna win both of them. Like, I mean, the teams aren't giving the guys a choice, but I wouldn't give my child a choice if I was a parent either. I would make them get good at both of them.
Right. It probably is a little more dangerous. Actually, I don't know, man. That outdoor track's pretty gnarly, but the Supercross track is a little squirrely. So I
Yeah.
can kind of see that side of it.
Sorry. Trying to see what battery life's at. Yeah, I think that's basically it. I think the year was a good, solid year. I had high expectations at times, but I think I got a little more realistic as the year went on and knew what to expect going into these races. At first I was like thinking, oh, we're gonna win everything. I see them practice and they're all flying. Well, they rode that track every day. Like, you have to be realistic at times, and I think that, like I told you, I've learned a lot, and I'm ready to take on 22. I think you're going to see a lot more from our riders this year.
I think so too. Yeah, your point on that though is very good. Like you can at the practice track, it's easy to get a big head and be like, I think we're gonna do pretty good. And every single other rider is going through that exact same moment at that time. Like we're feeling good. You never know till the gauge drops.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big thing is like most of you're not racing or you're not riding with your competition ever. And they're feeling the exact same thing, like you're saying. Like they are going into it thinking they're gonna win. You're thinking you're gonna win. Your parents are thinking they're gonna win. Like, but you got to be realistic. Like that's what I want to teach this year is like I don't want it. I mean, you're supposed to think you're winning, right? But I want to teach the parents and myself to be realistic about it. Like you got to figure out your expectations need to be good. I don't know, but you need to cut this part out. I can't figure out what I'm trying to say.
No, and I think I kind of know. I was going to chime in with something, so I ain't cut nothing as far as this goes. But, man, like, it's so defeating, and I feel like this was my racing career to a T. Like, thinking you're going to do so good, and then you do so bad. And, like, how defeating is that? Like, how much does that mindset want to make you push forward and keep trying as much as the opposite? That's why it, fizzled guys like me out. Like, I think having that more realistic attitude about it is something that make it sort of scientific and technical and be like, okay, we're here, how do we get to there? We're here, how do we get to there? Instead of just having this superstar attitude, like you're going to go in and be the star of the show, and then you're not, and then you're just like, what's going on? Where I just think it's a better mindset to be realistic about that in the long run. Might not seem like it in the moment, but yeah.
That's something that's blown my mind over all the years is all the guys, like even Stu, we found that out the other day, like all the guys that you think are just insane. And then when you come back and hear them talk about how they got there, it's always the most like strategical things. Does that make sense? Like Travis Pastrana, he did crazy stuff, but it was he had it all super planned out, like the math of it, like the speed he needs to hit the jump and stuff. Like that's the stuff you don't think about. And they were realistic about it. Yeah, they were out of this world, but everything has a realistic level.
Yeah.
Speaking of, go ahead.
We're
going to have to do a lot of cuts in this one day.
Dude, I did a lot of cutting the last one, if I'm going to be honest. So we're still probably ahead of the curve on this one.
We're about 5 minutes away from a break here.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I think the biggest thing that kids, and it hurts them the most, and it's not just a kid. I always say kids, but it's every racer. Like, they fail because the people around them a lot of times, and that's kind of what you're like. Being realistic as a parent is huge, because if you think your kid's gonna win, they don't, and you come back and you beat them down right there, and you can't do that. Like, it drives me crazy when you see that, because the kid might have had wow moments, but until he's like proven it multiple times, you gotta be realistic with it. And that's my biggest thing as a trainer. Like, you gotta train the parents to be realistic with it too. And like, and you want to be, when I go back, I don't want to have disappointment on my face. So, because it just goes right into the next moto. And you know that, Chad, like, being a mechanic's the same exact scenario. If you're throwing wrenches and like you
never did that
away, like, and I it's every weekend. You don't see like some kid come back, their parent yelling at them, their trainer yelling at them, and then they go out and win the next moto. Barely ever will happen. Like, I mean, I don't even know if I've ever seen it happen. So,
speaking of coaching, are you a registered, certified United States Motorcycle Coaching Association coach?
Yes, I am. I got about a year ago.
It's a good thing you are registered to be a coach, Nick, because our guest that you have got coming on here has a lot to do with the United States Motorcycle Coaching Association.
Hell yeah.
All right, joining us, we have Lindsey from USMCA. She's going to tell us a little bit about the coaching program. How are you doing, Lindsey?
Hi, I'm great. Thanks for having me, guys.
No problem. I'm glad to have you. We're new to this, but we're trying to we did a recap of the amateur racing, and we thought you'd be the perfect guest to bring on.
Well, awesome. I'm flattered.
So we'll make it quick because we know it's late where you're at, but can you tell us a little bit about the background you have in motocross?
Yeah, so I have been involved for a hot minute. I can't even do the years right now, but I started riding when I was 8 and went to my first amateur national. So I raced my background on racing. I used to race the Fair Supercross series around Michigan. We have a really big series here, and I grew up racing that. super tight tracks. And my first or my first outdoor track ever, like my first motocross track was Minios. And not only was that my first motocross race, but that was like an amateur national. And I was completely blown
Wow.
away. I was like, holy smokes, this is crazy. So I was 15 when I did that. And then ever since then, I just traveled the country and did the nationals and did that WMX series back in '06 to '09. And then in '08, I actually was trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life because I knew I was going to make a living in women's racing. And I found there was a audition to be the next Miss Arenacross. So I jokingly made a video, like literally a joke. It was a joke. I was embarrassed by my quality. Like y'all, people had professional videographers following them around and doing these crazy clips, and I just went in my garage, literally with my bike as my backdrop. I just said, "I want to be Miss Arena Cross." I thought it was the biggest joke, but it was the coolest. Like literally, it changed my life. It changed the trajectory of the direction I was going in my life, and for the better. I mean, I am such a better person. I'm the person I am today because of Arena Cross, and you know, the people that traveled the tour, from the riders to the mechanics to everybody. Like we were just one big family, and it really shaped the direction. With I wanted to go. I was the spokesperson, so I really didn't want Miss Arena Cross. Like that wasn't me at all. And the title really bothered me. So I said, I really want to make this a more professional position. And raise more awareness of the professionalism that this job could potentially bring. So I made it more like a button down t-shirt or a button down shirt. And I ended up becoming the spokesperson, and we changed the title. I was the commentator for Fox Sports 1. And then I turned it into a media liaison position, and worked on creating hospital visits and children's museums, and just trying to make more of a difference in the cities we went to. Um, and then from there, I did some more stuff with Feld. I did Supercross. I was the paddock manager, and I started a ride activation in 2018. And that really, for me, I don't know if you guys ever heard of Ride. It only happened for 1 year, but so basically, we created learn to ride experiences at Monster Jam. So I traveled the country in 2018 and set up all these learn to ride activations in conjunction with the MIC, the Motorcycle Industry Council. I think we had like 12 stops in 2018, but it was the coolest experience of my life. And for me, that was the game changer. And I was like, you know what? Like live events are cool. I love being in the industry, but I want to teach people to learn how to ride. I want to get them more involved. I want to get more people on dirt bikes. And that was everything changed for me when Ride happened. Everything. And I was like, man, I don't know what it's gonna be yet, but it's gonna be something around this. And so I did Supercross after Ride kerplunked. I did Supercross in 18, 19, 20 up until COVID. COVID hit, and I just obviously lost my job. And I from there I did I just was a mom. Like I just focused on being a mom and doing homeschooling, and just kind of pumped my brakes on everything in the industry. And then I posted something on LinkedIn a year ago, just, hey, like I'm a mom, I'm really awesome at it, but now I want to be something for myself and show my kids that I can, be everything. So I wrote some random thing on LinkedIn, and Christy LaCurl, she saw it and DM'd me on Instagram and was like, hey, I have something for you. Cause I was still a homeschool mom. And I was like, but I really want to still do something. So I popped the USMCA. And to be honest with you, the USMCA is the piece of the puzzle that was missing. I mean, it is the best job in the whole wide world. I don't work a day in my life. Like I talk to coaches, I connect riders with coaches, I try to make it better. We're working on launching a mobile app later this week. And like that's just my biggest thing is like I want to be the connection. I want to make this industry last as long as we can. I mean, we had bike sales go through the roof during COVID, and now I want to capitalize on it. I want to create more to learn to ride areas. I want to get more people involved. I want to get a USMCA as a household name when you're talking about who coaches you. And right now, actually today we hit a huge milestone for the coaching association. We hit 300 active certified coaches on our website today. So, it's just huge because we're 5 years in the making and it's only going to get bigger and better from here.
Yeah.
Sorry, you guys talked about rambling, and here I just rambled for like an hour.
That's all we've been doing. You're good.
You said a couple things there that were pretty interesting as far as like the Arenacross went. I'll take a little step back, but the Arenacross was a lot different back then. Obviously, it's completely changed now. It's pretty much gone away. I mean, there is series out there that say they're Arenacross series, but they're not like they were back in '08 and stuff.
No, nothing could top that.
Yeah, like I did Arenacross in like '05 and '06, and it was completely different to how it got. I think me and Chad went to them in like '08, '09, but everybody was friends. Like all the racers got along. Like it was a good series. It was well promoted. Like, and that's gone now. And so that's pretty crazy how stuff just like you said, that was the game changer for you kind of start.
It was.
And then now that that can't even be a game changer for anybody else because it's just gone. So what's your thoughts on that?
Ooh, that's a heavy question. I mean, there's, to be honest, I don't know. I don't know how that kind of, I see it everywhere though. And I don't know I mean, this is a bigger issue. I mean, I don't know how detailed you guys get, but like Minios this year, a completely different vibe than I've ever experienced in my whole entire life. Like, it's not that, I mean, and don't get me wrong, because you're always going to get that family atmosphere. Maybe I'm overstepping and maybe I'm speaking too much, but it's different than it was back when I was like I did it. Like I'm even thinking like '06, like Minios was completely different. And I think now, and then I hear all this stuff from the AZ Open about how that 50 rider, I don't know how how crazy to get, but like the 50 rider was, guy had to have his whole bike tore down because his parents were going crazy. And for me, that's not the experience that I want to create. And that's not the experience that I want to promote or be affiliated with because, those poor parents, it's a PW50. And here you're going down all this teardown process and you're getting all these protests. And, what if I was a first time parent that's never been to a track before? And like, I would never go back.
Yeah, that's their experience.
Like that stinks because like I've had such great experiences and it's shaped my life and then I hear stuff like that and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Like how do we fix this?" Like and that's a bigger issue and to be honest, it's $1 million question that I've been pondering for the last week. I don't know what to do about it yet, but I feel like heavily like personally involved in that situation. I mean, I wasn't there, but I just feel personally like invested to try to fix it. Because
Yeah.
I want everybody else to get involved. Like I want people to have the feeling that I have. And I mean, they're not going to get that by being protested by 5 parents and they all pool together to raise all this money to tear this bike down
Yeah.
for a kid that has natural talent.
Yeah.
Pretty ridiculous on 50s.
We kind of talked about that before you came on. We were talking about like being realistic as a parent, like for like how your expectations should be for your riders. And that's the same thing. Like if your kid doesn't win on a PW50, it's not the end of the world. Like it's a family, you just want to have fun. And sometimes they need to realize that.
Well, and a lot of that is for like it brings me back to the coaching association and how do we educate the parents? I feel like as a certified coach, like it's your responsibility to start like you. And I had actually, I did a beginner skills class at the Kurt Caselli Ride Day last weekend. And, I just reminded the coaches that were on site with me, like when you assess, like, and that's a little different situation because you have 4 different coaches, like 4 independent coaches that do their own thing, like 4 different random coaches. And then you expect them to all work together at this beginner skills day. For the most part, it worked great, but you kind of get out of your rhythm and you get out of your groove. And I had to remind everybody when you first meet a rider for the very first time, you need to meet their parents and you need to see the comfortability level of the parents. What if the parent doesn't even know how to start the dirt bike? what if the parent doesn't know where to put gas in the bike or how to start the bike? And you're not only training the rider, you're training the family, because that's how we're going to keep this thing going.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's a little different than what I'm used to as a train. Like most of the time I don't train full beginners, but
Yeah.
but I understand where you're coming from. Like you have to, and I always tell the parents I'm not only training their kid, I'm training them also, because that's big. You can't just expect the kid to take it all in on one day.
No, no, absolutely not. So, I think that's a lot of our responsibility as a coaching association, and I'd like to dive more into that. That's one of my things I want to work on more for next year is like how do we involve the parents more and bring the family experience back.
Yeah. So getting into what USMCA is, can you tell us what your role is there?
Yeah, so I'm the executive director of the USMCA, and basically I work on the sales, the marketing, the communication. I try to so every month I provide monthly updates to the coaches, to our partners, what's going on, what are we working on. Um, the last 6 months have been just full full head on like building this mobile app. So we're building so with this whole 300 active certified coaches, we've actually had more. We've never seen a higher response on motorcyclecoaching.org. That's our forward facing platform. That's what we promote to the public on how to get connected with a coach near you. We call ourselves the Uber of motorcycle coaching. And with everything, I mean, we've never seen such such traffic on our website, from getting coaches certified to getting renewed to training requests for new riders or existing riders looking for a coach near them. So we decided that the best way to handle that, because right now our website's kind of, it works, but it's old school. It's very like off-road coaches have to go look at their email, and let's be honest, a lot of off-road motocross coaches don't look at their email. They're just text and
Nick
Facebook
can't even
only.
Nick can't even open a text.
So with this app, we wanted to make it easier to connect. So we want to make it more of a professional environment as well, because something that I did not know about the Coaching Association, in order to be considered a USA sport, you are required to hold a coaching association. So up until 5 years ago, we weren't even considered a US sport. And that is just mind blowing to me. And that's a big deal for me, because I've considered motocross, my high school sport. It was what I did during school. And, you know, why not have it be considered a sport? So I think it's awesome. Every other sport has a coaching association. We have one now. We are, we hold our coaches to a standard. Every coach has a responsibility that if they know another coach is doing something unethical, to report them. And we've actually taken the USMCA title away from coaches that don't adhere to the code of conduct. So it's something that we take very seriously, and it's something that we expect our coaches to take very seriously.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's cool to see it grow, and I think it's going to help the sport. It may not be next year or the next year, but in the next 10 years, it'll take it to another level, I think.
Oh, I do too. I do too, especially with, our partnerships continuing and like the OEMs believing in us, like that goes a long ways. And I'm really excited to continue this in 2022. I mean, a lot of the main maintenance for the app and doing, making the app bigger and better, that's going to be a big part of our 2022 initiative. Another thing is we really want to work on helping tracks and um, helping riders with track safety. Going to tracks and having our coaches, even holding our coaches accountable. Like if you see somebody entering and exiting the traffic or the track wrong, we expect as a USMCA coach, like to go and explain it to them. And we want to try to help. We want to help create a better environment at the actual tracks.
Yeah. Um, Something you said there that I want to touch base on a little bit is you guys have a lot of sponsors picking up or like helping you promote it. What are some of the bigger people that are getting involved, manufacturers, and what are they doing for you guys?
So we have the KTM group. So KTM, Husqvarna, and Gas. They've been they were actually the founding supporters. They've been with us all 5 years, and uh, so Yamaha, they just signed on as their second year, and they are just super involved. We're working out details right now with them. Just for them, they're more so like in Husqvarna, they just are launching a promotion that'll go off at the beginning of January. But they're helping us on the local level. Like right now, we need to get to the dealers. We need to get the dealers materials that they, we want to educate the dealers on how to get involved and how to get connected with a coach in your area. So Husqvarna is committed to doing that. We have Yamaha that's committed to doing that. They're helping us with more assets. So they're going to help us get more coaching material because, that's one of the hardest things that we cannot come by is we get a lot of pictures of people riding, but we need actual coaching footage. So Yamaha has really stepped up to the plate and they want to help us create more assets to help us with future commercial spots, POP materials, materials for dealerships. We have Honda. Honda's been a big supporter, and it's really cool because they also have the Honda Rider Education Centers. But and a lot of their coaches that they have are MSF and USMCA certified. They truly believe in us, and they're helping us work out more. We have things that I can't talk about yet, but they're trying to be more involved. Wells Fargo has been on board since the beginning. They are just a pure financial supporter, but they believe in what we're doing and they want to help us, continue every year. So we're super thankful for them. We have Mountain Motorsports. They are out of the Southeast. They have 9 dealerships, and we currently have materials in all 9 of their dealerships. So we have big roll-up banners. We have materials that go on on the motorcycles. We have flyers, you name it. They are super supportive and they're super helpful, and working on creating more of a beginner learn to ride area at one of their facilities next year. Motosport.com, they've been a huge supporter. They want to what I'm working with them right now is trying to get more assets for coaches. So I want to get a discount code for coaches to provide their riders, since motosport.com is kind of like an outlet for everything. It'd be cool for our coaches to be able to provide a discount to riders. I think that would go a long way. Fox Racing, they've been awesome. They're providing our coaches with a 30% discount for anything on their website. And then we have Rhino Power. They are doing swag bags. So if coaches have different camps going on, they can actually go through Rhino Power and get a whole bunch of swag bags for all of their riders. And I think that's really a creative way to get their materials out there, but also to promote, clean hydration and, a clean supplement. So it's really awesome. We have great supporters. Oh, and MPA, they've been on board with us for a few years now too. National Power Sports Auction. But we have a great group of partners, and it's been a really exciting experience.
Lindsey, yeah, it's nice to hear you have so many supporters in that avenue there. I want to know, what's it going to take to get a factory Wells Fargo Yamaha race team? How do we get that done?
Oh, that would be amazing, wouldn't it?
You want to talk about financial support? We need Wells Fargo in the game right now.
Perfect. We'll get Wells Fargo. What'd you say?
I think that's who Yamaha has supporting them. They have about 15 riders.
Good point.
Could be.
Touche.
Either of you guys got any questions for her?
Yes. Lindsey, you kind of talked about how you used to race and then you found your way in the industry through kind of like a different journey. One of the things I've noticed is since professional women's motocross kind of went away, I don't remember what year that was. Does anybody remember?
I think it was still around I did a race in 11.
So it's been quite a while.
Yeah, I don't know if that was around that time.
It seems like you see a lot of girls come up in the sport and then kind of just disappear. What do we need to do to get more women in the sport and keep them around?
I think women in the sport currently, current racers, they need to become more diversified. I think a lot of women too are from what I've noticed, they're more closed off. They like their little bubbles. They're not as outgoing. as women used to be. And that's just my opinion. Like, there's not any person that I would single out. I just think as a whole, when I look at the overall picture, I don't see like, I don't know, I just don't see the connection. And I think like from where I'm thinking too, I like diversified, work on your bikes more. Like, I don't see many so now since being with USMCA, I'm more involved in like the super bike world of things and like Moto America. I went to my first Moto America race this year. I went on a 2-up ride, like holy smokes. But I saw a lot of female mechanics wrenching on the bikes for male racers. And that for me was really cool. And I was like, that's what our sport needs more of. Like, we need more women that know how to wrench. And there's and in my opinion, there's an endless opportunity there. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like they don't ever put yourself down because you're a female, because I saw so many females at Moto America that were doing that. And like, honestly, it made me want to switch everything. Cause I was like, this is the coolest thing. Like, I want to learn how to do this, but I'm like super pumped with where I'm at. But I was really like, it's still a skill that I could learn too. I would love to know everything about working on my own truck or bike. And I just thought that was really cool to see so many women involved at the Moto America circuit.
Even if you don't end up racing like for a living, the industry opens so many doors to other things.
But just be open to it. I mean, to be honest, just be open to anything, because I am the most tomboy, non-girly girl in the world, and I applied for Miss Arenacross. Like, I don't wear makeup and I applied for Miss Arenacross. Like, okay. But I knew I knew my end goal. I knew what I wanted to do. And just because of a title, it wasn't like, it almost stopped me. I was like, oh my gosh, like people are going to think things. But I still went for it because I believed in myself, and I believed that I knew I could make a difference and change it to be what I wanted it to be. And I truly just don't ever give up on something just because of a title or because you're intimidated by something. Got to go for what you want.
Through that.
Yeah, sounds good. Hey, Lindsey, what's this mobile app that you're mentioning? How are people going to find that when it comes out? Do you have like a specific estimate on when that's going to be available?
It's actually live right now.
Oh boy.
It's actually live right now. You can go in your App Store or Google Play and download Motorcycle Coaching.
I'm gonna
And
test this.
from there, you can actually sign in and sign up, and you can make your rider profile. You'll put in your address, like where you want to train, what bike you ride, and then you can search for coaches in your area. We still have to sync them. There you go. See, that's my sister. So it is officially available on the App Store. I haven't done a press release and I haven't really promoted it. We do have everybody that's ready to help us, like all the OEMs, all the endemic media partners. They're all ready when I tell them. I'm just not ready yet. We have a few bugs still, and it still crashes at certain points. And all the material that you download today won't save. So once I sync the website and the app, everything will go away again. So if you do download it now, you can like mess around on it. I'm totally fine with that. But then just remember, once we actually officially announce it, then you'll have to redo your stuff.
All right, practice makes perfect.
So yeah, just go on and practice.
Nice.
So is there like a radius and stuff for a rider that sets it up at like 100 miles, or how's that work? Just fine.
We're not there yet. Right now, you can honestly just scroll and scroll and scroll all 300 coaches if you wanted to, but it'll start where the zip code or the area that you're in. So you can either write the town if you don't know the zip code, or you can write the coach's name if you know the coach's name. So our search is a little bit more broad than it was on the website. But yeah, you can keep scrolling forever and ever. That's like a version 2 thing, is I want to have different filters.
Yeah.
But we're not there yet.
You guys got anything else for her?
I did actually. This goes for both of you, Nick and Lindsey. From a coaching standpoint, what's the most important thing for a rider to know in your eyes?
You can go, Lindsey.
Got you with a good one.
It is I think how your mental A game is, like how you are in your head. Even if you're like, no matter what level of riding you're at, whether you're a beginner rider, I've never rode in my life, or I'm an A rider, wherever you are in your head is going to make or break your riding for fun, for your career, for competition. Um, I just feel like people downplay the mental aspect of this sport so much.
Of our
And
last episode was about mental toughness. So
it's such a big thing, like keeping up
yeah.
on your mental awareness, and doing your homework, and doing your reading, and making sure that you're in the right headspace prior to riding makes or breaks everything.
And even early in this episode, we were covering, having realistic expectations. Your good days are never as good as you think you are. Your bad days are never as bad as you think you are. And being able to take those and adjust. Nick, I hope I didn't steal your answer for there, but we kind of were leading into that in this episode already.
Yeah, I would say that's what I would say that. And another thing is what you're willing to put into it. I mean, if you're only going to if you're in it for fun and you're just going to give it 50%, that's one thing. But if you're trying to train and like be an amateur, like at a high level amateur racer and then go pro, then you got to be willing to put 100% in, especially now. It's not, I said it last week, but it's not all talent anymore. Like you have to put in the time. Like it's tough. So that would be my biggest thing. Well, I think that's all I have for Lindsay. If you guys are good, we can let her go to bed.
Yeah, it's probably pretty late over there.
Thanks, guys.
All right,
Thanks,
for
Lindsay.
coming on.
Appreciate
Bye.
it.
All right, guys, that's going to be it for us tonight. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to our guest, Lindsey Scheltema. Thanks, Nick, for setting that up for us. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Derek. And we'll see you guys next time.
Hey, guys, I'll see you next time, okay?
See you next time.